Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you saw the previous video which will cover the all about cyclone. Now in the hydrometeorological disaster we will cover all about the avalanches. So today's lecture is all about is on avalanche. So what is avalanche? As you know, snow cover on the slope tends to slide down and the slope because of the gravity is called the avalanche. As you can see in the picture, there will be snow which will be sloped down due to the gravity. Okay. Now condition sorry. Now conditions affecting stability include the gravitational four components of the snow and resisting force such as the frictional resistance of the slope or the anchoring effect of the shrub. In general, avalanches are caused when this balance is lost and when force exceeds the resistance. Okay, and avalanches are rarely observed closely since they are normally occur during the short time of period, 1 or 2 minutes. Now, what are the major causes for the avalanches? So, these major causes of avalanches can be classified into fixed. Fixed means prime factor and variable factors means exciting factors. Okay, such as the weather condition and the weight of the snow cover. Okay, avalanches occur when these factors are combined. The type and the scale of avalanches can differ depending on the combination of these various factors and their scale. Now there will be some avalanches prone areas in India. So what are these avalanches prone areas and how many regions are there in our India? So Himalayas, the well known for the occurrence of snow avalanches, particularly in the western Himalayas. In example, snowy region like Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and western Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so there is the three, as I mentioned in this uh, sentence. First one is Jammu Kashmir. So Jammu Kashmir is higher reaches of Kashmir and Gurez Valley, Kargil and Ladakh, and some major roads. Himachal Pradesh. In the Himachal Pradesh, there will be Chamba, Kullu, Spiti, and Kinnaur are the vulnerable areas for the avalanches, snow avalanches, we can say. In western Uttar Pradesh, there are the parts of the Tehri Galwar, Chamoli district, which are now parts of the Uttarakhand. Okay, so these are the parts for the western Uttar Pradesh. Now there are the three types of snow avalanches zones. How many? Three zones: red zone, blue zone, and yellow zone. So what is red zone? The most dangerous zone where the snow avalanches are most frequent and have a impact pressure is more than 3 tons per square meter. This is the called red zone. Blue zone where the avalanches force is less than 3 tons per square meter and where living and other activities may permitted with connection of safe design, but such areas may have to be vacated on warning. And the third zone is yellow zone, where the snow avalanches occur occasionally. Okay, so our region is divided into three types of snow avalanches zones, as you see on the screen. Now, after the types of the avalanches, there are the some types of avalanches. First one is loose snow avalanches, as you can see in this figure. So loose snow avalanches usually start from the point and fan outward as they descend, and because of this they are called the point releases. Very few people killed by the slumps because they tend to be small and they tend to fracture beneath you as you cross a slope instead of above you, as a slab avalanches often do. Okay, so this is sometimes this avalanche is sometimes called harmless stuff. Okay, but if you caught in one, it can easily take the victim over the cliff into the crevices and bury them deeply in terrain traps such as a gully. Okay, and this is the reason for the death of the people. Okay, so this is a loose snow avalanche. It is harmless, but when you caught in this, your life is gone. Okay, now the second one is slab avalanches. So as you see in this figure, slab avalanches generally occur when a packed portion of a snow become loose and the slab is difficult to see and avoid, for one cannot determine when the snow will move. Most of the time, a person can still travel on or before it falls. This type of avalanche is primary cause of the most number of casualties activities among the travelers. Okay, so this is called the slab avalanche. Third one is ice fall avalanche. So when the glacier flow over the cliff, they form the ice equivalent of the waterfall, or and we can say the ice fall. Falling blocks of the ice create avalanches of ice, which often which often entrain snow below it or trigger slabs, especially in the bigger mountain like Himalayas. Icefall avalanches can be large and traveling long distances. Despite this, icefall avalanches kill few people compared to dry slab that people trigger themselves. Most of the deaths from icefall avalanches occur into the climber in the big mountains who just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay, and the icefall avalanche occur more or less randomly in time. However, in a warmer climate, more ice tends to come down in the heat of the day than at the night. Okay. Also, on a longer time scale, glacier tends to surge, meaning that they actually have to very slow waves that travels through them that produces a surge of a movement for a few days of a month. Okay, followed by the less movement for several more days or even a month or even a year. Okay, for intense sometimes an icefall seems a very dormant for a several months. Then suddenly it produces lots of activity for a several days to a month. So it can be falling down and generate the icefall avalanche. Okay. Now the fourth type is cornice fall avalanche. As you can see in the picture, cornices are fatal attraction of mountain. Their beauty match only their by the danger. Okay, cornices are elegant cantilevered snow structure formed by the wind drifting snow onto the downwind side of an obstacle such as a rigid line. Similar to icefall avalanches, the weight of the falling cornice often trigger an avalanche on the slope below, or cornice break into the hundred of pieces and form its own avalanches, or we can say both. Be aware that cornice fragments often fan out in a double coated as they travel downhill, traveling more than the 30 degrees off the fall time. Cornices tends to become unstable during storms, especially with wind and during the times of rapid warming or prolonged melting. Each time of wind blows, it extends the cornice outward. Thus, the fresh, tender, and easily triggered part of the cornice usually rests precariously near the edge, while the hard and more stable section usually form the root. Okay, so this is all about the cornice fall avalanches. Now, fifth one is wet avalanches. So most avalanches professionals make the hard separation between the wet snow avalanches or dry snow avalanches, because wet and dry avalanches are so different from each other. Forecast for wet and dry avalanches vary very differently. Much of the mechanics are different. They move differently. and it's only natural for us to think them two separate beasts altogether. But really, there is a continuum between wet and dry avalanches. For instance, there are damp avalanches and often large. Dry avalanches start out dry and end up wet by the time they get to the bottom, because either the energy of decent heat, the snow up, or they travel into a region of warmer snow. Like a dry snow avalanches, wet avalanches can occur both sloughs and slabs. Okay? And the next type is glide avalanches. As you can see in the picture, glides occur when the entire snowpack slowly slide as a unit on the ground, similarly to a glacier, and should not be mistaken for the catastrophic release of a slab avalanches that breaks to the ground. Glide is a slow process that usually occurs over several days. Okay? Glide occurs because melt water lubricates the ground and allows the overlying snowpack to slowly glide to the downhill. Okay? Usually, they don't ever produce an avalanches, but occasionally they release catastrophically as a glide avalanche. So, the presence of a glide cracks in the snow does not mean that danger. Okay? It's often difficult for a person to trigger a glide avalanche, but at the same time, it's not smart to be mucking ground on the top of them, especially not smart to camp under them. They are found more often in a wet climates, and when they occur in a dry climates, they do so in spring when the water perlocated through the snow, or sometimes during the midwinter. Okay, like an ice fall, they come down randomly in a time. So this is all about the glide avalanche, and also all about the types of avalanches. Now, what are the impacts of snow avalanches? So the forces generated by moderate and, or we can say, large avalanches can damage or destroy most man-made structures. The debris from even small avalanches is enough to block a highway or a railroad. Okay, as you know already, avalanches are extremely destructive due to the great impact forces of the rapidly moving snow and debris, and the burial of areas in the runout zone. Okay. Structures, we can say, not specifically designed to withstand this kind of impact. Okay. So these structures are generally totally destroyed. Where avalanches cross highways, passing vehicles can be swept away and destroyed, and killing their occupants. In general, land use within an avalanche area should not include building intended for a winter and early spring occupancy. Ordinarily, use of avalanche areas in the summer does not constitute any hazard. Structure include power lines, highways, railroads, and other facilities that are placed in avalanche paths and runout zones should be designed for expected impact, even if other prevention measures are implemented. Okay, so these are the all impacts of snow avalanches, as I mentioned here. Now, there will be some safety tips. Okay, so as you know, we will always discuss about the safety tips. In this section, we will discuss about if you are caught in an avalanche, so what to do. Okay, and for the rescuing of victim, what we need to do. Okay, so first of all, if you are caught in an avalanche, so what to do? First is yell and let go the ski poles and get out of your pack to make yourself lighter. First point is use a swimming motion. Okay, thrusting upward to try to stay near the surface of the snow. Okay. Third one is when avalanches come to a stop and debris begins to pile up, the snow can set as hard as cement. Unless you are unless you are on the surface and your hands are free, it is almost impossible to dig yourself out. If you are fortunate enough to end up near the surface, or at least to know which direction it is, try to stick out an arm or a leg so that rescuer can find you quickly. Okay. If you are in over your hand, not near the surface, try to maintain an air pocket in front of your face using the hand and arms, punching into the snow. When an avalanche finally stops, you may have only a few seconds before the snow set up and hardens. Many avalanches that can cause by the suffocation, so creating an airspace is one of the most critical things you can do. Also take a deep breath to expand your chest and hold it. Otherwise, you may not able to breathe after some snow sets. Okay, to preserve airspace, yell or make noise only when rescuers are near you. Snow is such a good insulator. They probably will not hear you until they are practically on top of you. Above the all points, do not panic. Keeping your breath steady will help you preserve your airspace and extend your survival chances. If you are remain calm, your body will be better able to conserve energy. Okay, so these are the some safety tips if you are caught in an avalanche. Now, what to do when rescuing a victim? So, first of all, try to watch the victim as they are carried down the slope, paying particularly attention to the point you last saw them. Okay? After the avalanche appear to have finished and settled, wait a minute or two and observe this slope carefully to make sure that there is no further avalanche danger. If some danger does still exist, post one member of your party in a safe location away from the avalanche path to alert you if any other avalanche falls. Second point is when traveling with a large party, you may want to send someone to for help immediately while the rest of you search. If you are the only one survivor, do a quickly visual search. If you don't see any visual clues and you do not have transceivers, then go for the help. Third one is begin looking for a clues on the surface, uh, like a hand or foot, piece of clothing, ski poles, etc., etc. Beginning with the point where they were last seen. As you move down the slope, kick over any large chunks of snow that may reveal clue. Okay, since equipment and items of clothing may be pulled away from the victim during an avalanche, they may not have indicated their exact location, but it can be helped to determine the direction of avalanches carrying them. Mark these spots as you came across them. Be sure that all rescuers leave their packs, extra clothing, etc., etc., away from the search area so as not to clutter or confuse such type of effort. Okay. Once the victim is found, it is critical to be unbury them so quickly as possible. Survival chances decreases rapidly depending on how long a victim remained buried. Treat them for an injuries, shock, or hypothermia if necessary. And if you lost sight of the victim early duration during the avalanche, or if there is no visible clues on the surface, mark where the victim was last seen. Look at the path of the snow and try to imagine where they might have to be ended up. For those wearing avalanches, transceivers switch them to the receive and try to locate a signal. Okay. And the last point in this, after searching for a clue or using transceivers or props, still does not reveal the location of the victim, it may be time to rely on outside help. Nearby ski resort will have this staff with personal experience to handle this kind of situations. They will have a equipment to locate the victims and dig them out. Okay? And they may have avalanche dogs that can help to find the victims as well. Ski area patrollers will also have a first aid equipment, but unfortunately, by the time they can usually reach out of avalanches accident, too much time has elapsed to save the victim. So this is all about the safety tips if you are rescuing the victim, and all about the avalanches. So in today's lecture, we will end up here. Now, if you like the video, please button and also press the subscribe button and bell icon as well. Okay. See you at the next lecture. Till then, Jai Hind.